Well, I think that's the takeaway is series win, 2 in a row against a good Cal team. So you can never argue about that, or the things we can clean up. Heck yeah, but things you'd like to see better executed on the offensive side and the pitching side, absolutely. But I'm never going to complain about a win against a good team, especially like that. So always interesting. You can almost expect it. We're not going to have an easy coast to the finish line around here. It just is the way it is. So we know that we can't let off the gas and score as many runs as we can and try to finish it out. So clutch hitting, Mario obviously with the grand slam there after it looked like we were going to squander a big opportunity with the bases loaded, no outs, and a couple of punch outs and get down 1-2, and he puts a charge into one, which was huge. Campy, coming up with the big bases, clearing double. Other than that, we didn't really hit very well with runners in scoring position. So had a lot of opportunities to cash in more runs, but those were the two big hits, obviously. But other than that, we were pretty dismal, I think, with guys in scoring position. But end of the day, it's a W for the good guys, and I'm not going to complain about that.
Got some really good production out of Mario the last couple of games, and it seems like he's starting to really settle into his role at third base after kind of being real shaky at the plate to start the season. What do you credit to that, or is it more so if he was in here, he shows a sort of consistent mindset, very calm and composed, but what have you seen from him throughout the season?
No, I think it's tough. He's in a different role than he's been in most of his career. He's been accustomed to being an everyday guy at USF, and coming here and getting spotting playing time. It's tough. It's hard to figure out your timing and your rhythm when you're not playing a whole lot, and not only offensively but defensively. It's tough to find your rhythm, and he's playing a different position. He's playing third as opposed to second, so he's going through some adjustments. But I'm hopeful, and it looks like he's starting to get more and more comfortable. And with the way our squad's banged up, he's we're going to need him. So it's hopefully he continues to produce and do well.
I haven't seen Schieffer kind of have some trouble like that in quite some time in the ninth inning. What was kind of your viewpoint on kind of what Cal was being able to pick up on and put up some runs in the ninth?
Well, I think Green put a charge into one there on him, and we just missed an 0-2 spot. We got to be better 0-2 right there, and he knows that. And then I think I'll have to go back and look at video, but it looked like he was up a little bit up in the zone maybe, and they were laying off his split. A couple times they swung and looked pretty ugly, but they made a pretty quick adjustment on it. So we'll go back and look and see where those pitches were, if he was leaving them down the middle or whatever. But he's human. He's gonna give up some hits every now and again, and like I told him, wasn't your best stuff, but hey man, you kept us in the lead, so that's all that matters.
How critical is it as the season goes along, talking about how deep this lineup is, but to see guys like Demera and Ivan Lance be able to just kind of find their stride a little bit here in recent stretches, and add to be able to come into these different situations when there are injuries, and also even just in pinch hit spots as well?
Well, we're going to need him, and not only because, like I said, we're thin and we're down a few guys, and doesn't look like we're going to get a couple of them back anytime soon. So, these guys are going to have to contribute, and it's also my job to figure out ways to get them in the game to keep them sharp. So that's been my challenge early on, and but as we move forward, we're going to have to move guys around into positions that maybe they're not used to playing, and it's, hey, given what we're going to have to do, that might be the recipe where we got to throw it together, and there's going to be guys out of position, and it might look a little awkward, but hey, just go play some backyard wiffle ball, catch it and throw it to the right base, and go try and outslug them. So that might have to be the recipe as we move down the stretch here. But guys are contributing. It's big. The Lancer and Mario today had a nice day, so we're going to need those guys to continue stepping up, and the other guys aren't going to stay hot all year. They're going to be up and down, and we're going to need other guys to contribute.
Coach, 12 walks is a lot for your offense to be given in one day. What are your initial thoughts about the plate discipline that your offense has been showing over the last few weeks, and do you feel like that it's improving after a performance like tonight, or do you feel like it's more on that pitching staff?
Well, I think when you get given 12 walks, you'd like to put up some more runs than we did, and it's tough to complain about putting up 10 runs, but when they're going to give you 12 free passes, you got to take advantage of those situations a little bit better, I think. So I'm being critical, of course, but our goals are to keep getting better. So we have to figure out ways to, move runs across with 12 walks and 3 errors, and we got to figure out ways to come up with some big hits and hopefully put nails in the coffin, to take the little bit of pressure off some of our pitching staff to, use certain guys in different situations so we can save arms if we can. So, it's just one of those things that we got to try to do a better job of cashing in when we can.
So you go in Tucson, obviously had a chance to sweep and I think there on the Sunday game. Now with a big active Sunday game tomorrow, what needs to go into ensuring you get all 3 games?
Well, you can't get a third one without the first 2, so we got those, and now it's just a matter of coming. Like I said, the results take care of themselves as long as you show up and play the right way and have the mindset to come in and play the right way. So hopefully our guys are ready to go tomorrow. They should be. We can't afford to have any mental letdowns or whatever. Tomorrow's weather is supposed to be kind of crazy, I hear. So we'll find out. We got to keep the ball in the yard, and depending on which way the wind is blowing, if it's going in or out tomorrow, we'll see. But it'll be some elements to deal with, and hopefully our guys come ready to play.
Coach, just your overall thoughts on Ben Jacobs' outing today and how he kind of navigated after that first inning.
Man, the first inning's kind of been giving us some fits as of late, but he was able to keep it small there in the first. I thought that was big. We had a chance to have that unravel a little bit, and he was able to keep it to 1 run right there and make some big pitches when he had to, and walked the tightrope there a couple times, but was able to keep the damage fairly small and keep us in there. So, wasn't his most electric performance, but he did enough to keep us in the game and give us an opportunity to take the lead. So, overall he was solid. And we needed some innings, and the last 2 days to ask relievers to start games and try to give us some length has been difficult, but we've been able to navigate it and get through it.
With him coming in in place of Burns, and then of course with Mario coming in at third, what does it say about just these players' ability to have their name called and show up?
Just try to preach to these guys, stay ready and be ready. You never know when your number is going to be called, and we're going to need you. So, stay available, stay ready, and try to stay sharp. Even though you're not getting the playing time you might want, you never know when your opportunity is coming. So, when that happens, take advantage of it and make my job tough, which some of these guys are doing right now.
Have you or Sam spoken to the starters at all about, emphasizing making sure that you get through a clean first and not having these issues in the future?
Well, again, these guys are last 2 days or several days. There are a lot of relievers that are starting games, and guys that are asked to be in different roles, but you certainly don't want to go out and give up runs. They're not trying to, but there has to be an emphasis of hopefully setting the tone and getting off to a better start than we have. We don't want to have to climb out of holes every day if we don't have to. But if that means we win, then hey, we'll go ahead and spot them a few runs in the first every day. If that means it's going to wake our bats up and get them going. But that's something that last couple of days haven't been great on that, but I'm confident they'll adjust and they'll be fine.
Coach, Ryan told us just now about how he's been trying to mentor this young pitching staff, especially the freshmen like Cole and Wyatt, and how to adjust to them on a night-to-night basis. What have you seen just from a large scale perspective in your leadership, looking at what he's necessarily done to try to help those guys, especially with how much you talk about how young this pitching staff is and the veteran that Ryan brings?
Ryan Campos?
Yes.
Campy's a staple. He's a calming presence. He's not a real overly vocal guy, but just his overall leadership presence and calming personality, I think, is important for these young guys to, for him to lead them. So there's different styles of leadership. There's guys that are vocal and loud and boisterous. That's not Ryan. Campy's more subdued and calming and just saying very matter of fact, hey, this is what we got to do, and it's in a calming manner. So he relates well to a lot of these young guys that are, that like throwing to him, and obviously he's done a great job at it so far.
It really kind of harped on leadership, just kind of as of late. Do you feel like that's kind of improved, and if so, how do you feel like it's changed?
I think it's leadership can be developed. Some guys, have it, they're born with it, and other guys, you need to develop it. And I think as a whole in our clubhouse, that's something that needs to be developed a little bit more, and guys got to get out of their comfort zones and be able to do that. I think we have plenty of guys in there that are capable of doing it, and they're starting to be more accountability, and guys are starting to step up. So for me, that's a good sign.
Coach, you talked about before this season how this was kind of your full recruiting class that you were able to get under your leadership, and then also now navigating the evolving transfer portal. How have you balanced the guys that you've acquired through the portal and then the up-and-coming guys like Mendoza, and trying to navigate the different spots and the levels of experience?
For me, it's just navigating that is simple. You just buy into what we're trying to do as a program. And whether or not you're a new guy or you're a freshman or a fourth-year senior, fifth-year senior coming from another program, you're coming here for one common goal and one common purpose. So if you're not here for that reason, then I guess you chose the wrong place. But for me, that's got to be the buy-in. Guys have to understand what wearing a Sun Devil uniform means, and buy into what we're trying to do as a program. And so far, it's I have no complaints on that.
And with that, on that note of just like the program and that being the forefront of the mind, when you were talking to some of those guys like Lance and Mara and other transfer portal additions, were you some of those messages about maybe having to sacrifice a little bit of that playing time for the betterment of the program?
I've never asked guys to sacrifice playing time. I've told guys, when you come in here, you're going to get every opportunity to win a starting spot, and you're going to get an opportunity. I don't promise playing time. The players ultimately write the lineup, not me, but based on how well they're doing. So, some guys have, Brandon Compton's a great example. I was not anticipating Brandon Compton having this type of year. He got the opportunity to start opening day, and hasn't relinquished that opportunity, for the most part all year. So, there's guys that have taken that and made it very difficult for other guys to get in the lineup. I'm not going to sit Brandon Compton, and just to get some other guys in there, we got to try and win every game. So, some of that guys get a little bit frustrated, and I understand that. That's totally respectable, and they're competitive kids that want to play. So that I will never take away from them. But that's where I say, stay ready for your opportunity. You never know when it's coming. I don't bring guys in here with the anticipation of sitting them. I bring them in with the anticipation of, hey, how can you help us win a game today? And those roles form, and guys take advantage of opportunities, and if they let their guard down, other guys are going to get a shot, and if they don't, then they'll keep playing.
What went into the decision to have Isaiah bunt and cause a little bit of chaos on the bases?
He's a couple things. I think worst case scenario, it's a sack and gets another guy in scoring position right there. We needed a big run. I thought at that point in time we were up 6-5, I think. We got the leadoff guy on base. I figured worst case scenario, it's just like a sack, but maybe we sneak a base hit here. They weren't really anticipating him bunting. It looked like they were playing back, and he put down a beauty and forced the issue, and merry-go-round started. So, with a guy that's hasn't been swinging as great as he would like to as of late, sometimes that's what can spark a guy. And it's in your bag of tricks, man. You got to use it sometimes. And he was able to. He's worked hard at it. That's part of Gilly's Bunners Club. Those guys, handful of those guys have been out bunting a lot, and it's like, man, that's for those times where you need to get it down and maybe spark a rally.
We've seen him do that a couple times over the last 2 years. What kind of asset is that for his game overall?
Well, I think when it's just another arrow in the quiver, man. You gotta have it. Now what's it do? Now that the third baseman's got to come up and play a little bit tighter. You can't just shift him and put 3 guys over on that side of the infield. You have to honor that, otherwise it's an easy base hit. So it plays into his game if he's able to do it, and just it adds another dimension to his game.
Considering that Thomas is out for a bit now, and no one has secured that third spot in the rotation, what are your thoughts now on Robbie P and K. Paul, as you called it in the past, sacrificing some of the good outings that you've gotten from guys out of the bullpen to fill those starting spots?
Well, we're going to have to spit and glue it a little bit and, take one day at a time. There really isn't a foreseeable rotation that I can sit here and be confident and say this is what we're going to go with. We're going to go with tomorrow with Connor Markle and see what the best arms we have available following him for those situations in the game. And then when we get through that, we'll look at Grand Canyon on Tuesday. And once we get through that, we'll look at, okay, who's left? Who can we start on Friday up in Corvallis? So it's it puts us in a little bit of a bind. But on the other hand, everybody should be on all hands on deck, ready to go. There shouldn't be any staleness of guys getting bored. Everybody's going to be happy to contribute. So some guys are getting opportunities.
What does that do for the bullpen, fostering a little bit more competitiveness, maybe not knowing who's going to start the next game as opposed to last year where you were almost set in a weekend rotation every single week?
Like I've told a lot of these guys, that don't worry about what outs you're getting, just come in and get outs. Whether those are the first outs of the game or in the middle or at the end, that's what kind of staff we're going to have to be right now. We don't have the bona fide, like I said, weekend rotation right now. We're just going to have to get outs. And you come in, and if we might open with a guy just to get through the top three guys, and that's his role. Get those three guys out, or they get through the first inning, and then we're going to go to another guy. So it all just depends on how we, as a coaching staff, feel that we can best navigate an opposing lineup.
Does that give you an advantage at all, maybe, of with opponents not knowing who's coming in for how long, which batters they're going to face?
No, I don't think so. It makes our job tougher because we gotta really be on point on who we're matching up with who, and hope the game takes us down that road that we want. If it doesn't, then we got to adjust on the fly and go a different route. So the bullpen guys, they got to hang with us at times. We got to get guys up and then sit them down and get a different guy up, and that gets a little taxing on those guys at times. I understand, but that's the situation we're in right now.
Coach, this is an off-topic question, but it's kind of relevant to the significance of today. Pat Murphy obviously managed his first game today for the Milwaukee Brewers. What does he mean to the history of this program, and how at least proud of you that he's representing this program in the Major Leagues?
Not surprising that the Brewers were playing with a little fire and there was a little bench clear today. So that doesn't surprise me at all with the Pat Murphy team. I just am super excited for him and the opportunity, and obviously there's a special place in my heart for that guy and for what he's done for me in my life. But he really is a staple of this program, and so just another representation in the big leagues of a Sun Devil that's done well. And if I were a free agent in the big leagues, I'd be fighting anybody I could to go play for him. So he just means the world to me, and what a tremendous human that and leader. So just a great guy that I couldn't be happier for.
Is that some of the fire that you want to put into your team a little bit?
I think it's in there. I think in today's world you're not allowed to leave the dugout, but when it comes to sparks flying, so again, that's something they've changed where it was a little different in our day. But Murph had a very good knack of being able to get his guys to play with that edge, and that's something I'm learning and trying to get our guys to do what he did for me. I thought I was invincible. Certainly I wasn't, but I thought I was because he made me feel that way. So that's what good leaders do.
In your third year as a coach now, how do you go about, achieving that same level of success, or at least trying to replicate what you were able to experience under Pat, but perhaps in a different way with this new generation and things, the circumstances not obviously being comparable?
Yeah, obviously we've talked several times, just the landscape being completely different, from this era from that era. But I think the message remains consistent, with the demands that we put on our players and the expectations that we hold them to. And the way, certain coaching styles get their players to respond are obviously different based on the personalities of the kids. But the end goal is the same. Is you set the standards high and you try to hold them accountable to those standards. So he was a master at it. He was great at it. He obviously had his ups and downs early in his career as well. But at the end of the day, you find the right type of guys that want to play for that individual and that style of play, and that type of culture, I guess, where it's high demands on you at all times. You get the right type of kids that are relishing and playing that, then things start turning in the right direction. So.
As you've kind of navigated this kind of era of coaching, basically college baseball, have you kind of talked to him about any tips that maybe he shared with you along the way that maybe worked for him that you've applied to your leadership style?
Murph's a big guy in continuing to believe even when the chips are down, and that's something that we've had the chips down a few times in early in my career here. So continuing to get guys to believe. It was last week we were it was pretty blue, but you blink your eyes and we have a chance to go 4-0 this week after it was probably the lowest we've been this year after getting swept up in Pullman. So chips are certainly down and we're fighting our way out of it. So that's sign of resiliency and guys that have the no quit mentality. I don't expect us to play perfect baseball, but the effort level and the continuing to fight is better be there, and that's something that I learned from him and I'm trying to instill in these players.
You mentioned that it was demoralizing last weekend coming to swim Pullman, and then you guys seemed like you stopped bleeding relatively quickly. Was there something that happened or anything that occurred that kind of allowed you guys to snap back and such a quick turnaround Monday against UNLV and then obviously this weekend?
We met as a team and discussed kind of, again, the expectations. And to put it very clear, I said the scoreboard, there's things more important than winning, and that's how you represent yourself and how you represent the program you're playing for. And the scoreboard's not always going to reflect what the program means. There's times where I'm okay with coming up short if you go out and play with your hair on fire and give it everything you got, and you come up short, I can live with it. But I can't live with the fact of there not being the effort that's expected around here and the mindset that's expected around here. So regardless, we're going to hopefully play with a better mindset, better body language, better energy about us, regardless of where you're playing on the field. And, to their credit, they've responded very well the past 3 games.